Got it. What? This means it's being live streamed. Got it. Okay. Awesome. Here we are.
Like this, Gene.
Got
Start
it.
us off, Gene.
Okay. Fast road here. Hey, welcome, everybody, to the Native Wellness Power Hour, Wellness Wednesdays. Here you got myself, Gene, and Theda, and we're just going to share with you today. But before we get kicked off here today, I'm just going to sing a song. And as I ask each time I share these songs and stuff, just take a moment just to step in and think about our ancestors, the land of our ancestors, or maybe a sunrise, sunset, beautiful rain, the wind through the trees, the call of the eagle, or the buzzing of the hummingbird, the waves on the shore, whatever comes to your mind at that time. Maybe it's your children, your grandchildren, your loved ones as I sing this song, and just take just a moment out of your day and with this song. Oh, hey, hee, haw. Oh, hee, hee, haw. Oh, hee, hee, haw. Oh, hee, hee, haw. Hey, 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 haw. Hey, haw. Hey, haw. Oh, hey, hee, haw. Oh, hee, hee, haw. Oh, hee, hee, haw. Oh, hee, hee, haw. Hey, 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 haw. Hey, yo. Hey, yo. Oh, gonna cheese, good to be here. I was singing this song here and I was just looking on my drum. I was just on the East Coast and on the side of my drum, I usually put the names of the lands of the people I was on. So I was on the Algonquin, the land of the territories of Algonquin, and I was on the lands of the Powhatan and the Musqueam peoples just this last weekend. And as I was singing this song, I have it written on the side of my drum with some tape there just to remind me whose lands I'm on, and so it's
Oh man, that's so awesome, Gene. It's well, welcome to the Native Wellness Institute's Power Hour. We do Wellness Wednesday, and Gene and I, we run in from the woods. He flies in the airplane, and we just jump on, and we just want to spend an hour with you. Our topic today is, and I think it's 128th week. Can you believe that? 128 weeks, Native Wellness Institute has been bringing the Power Hour. So our topic today, and me and Gene, we might get off topic. We just might, we're kind of crazy that way.
who knows what we're going to talk about.
It's called self-care and finding the joy in healing, no matter what happens, no matter what goes on. So do you want to start, Gene, or you want me to start? How do you want this to go?
Oh, we could just I'll introduce myself, and I was just looking at the chats here. I have a brother I haven't seen in a while, Melvin, and I just want to shout out to my brother Melvin. One of those things that about joy and healing, no matter what, wherever we're at, is like just having those relatives and those friends around, and just seeing people you haven't seen in a long time. It really helps. And so as usual, I always start off with the introductions and where I'm at. So, kaya yahakto sa takten tana kat kakita kapto kandu ay khutsiti which katanyari ay khata ishikti hini to sa so get away with your slagi Filipina kona chish yakay way high a day kona chish ho 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 ho. And so with that, just a quick introduction of me. My name's Gene Tagaban. My Tlingit name is Gayal. I'm of the Duck Dane Tong clan, Raven Freshwater Sockeye clan from Huna, Alaska. I'm Cherokee, Tlingit, and Filipino. My last name is Tagaban. In the Philippines, it's pronounced Tagaban. My grandfather comes from Batak. My great-grandfather comes from Malocos Norte. My mom was full-blood Cherokee. Week is her Cherokee name, or Slagi name. I'm of the Wolf clan on that side. My mama was born in Jay, Oklahoma, raised in Zeta. Before the trail, came from a place that is now known as Georgia, Tennessee, North Carolina. And right now I'm on the lands of the Puyallup people and the territories of the Coast Salish people. And so and so that's just my introduction and just the quick version of it. And when we talk about joy and healing, no matter what, part of it too is just knowing who you are, where you come from, and where your people come from, and who you're connected to. I remember this. I was really homesick, and I was traveling about, and I was in New Zealand this one time, and I was gone. I've been gone for about a month, and I was just really lonely, or just homesick. I was around the culture of the Maori people and such, which was beautiful. It was great to be around them, but they still weren't my people. And it made me just almost longing. It was a longing for my own place, my own people and such. And then when I put my hand, I just went to the northern tip of the island there, and I put my hand in the water. And once I put my hand in the water, I was okay. It just brought me that connection back. And that joy and that healing, and no matter what, of just knowing who you are, knowing where you come from. Even in that song that I sang earlier about thinking about the land of your ancestors, your own people, where the dust of your bones are buried at. Even if you're native, even if you might be part Scottish, Irish, German, African American, Black, Jamaican, or Asian, or whatever too, is like even that part, and oftentimes I heard an elder say that he was telling these white-bodied people, says, your land is grieving for you. Your land is grieving for you. So go back and you should go back and visit that land, that area. And I remember when being part of Cherokee and Slagi, when I first went back to North Carolina, I got to tell you, I wept. I wept because, it just brought something back, like a longing, a longing that was deep in my spirit and in my soul when I stepped on that land. Saw those mountains, the rounded mountains, old mountains, the colors, smelled the smells, heard the rivers, and so that it was that longing. I had to fulfill that, and that has helped me in many times of accidents, illnesses, other people's illnesses, accidents, even my own accidents, deaths, funerals, or whatever comes up, and that knowing that I'm connected to the land of my ancestors too, and knowing that they're with me wherever I'm at, and and actually feeling that longing. And so yeah, even with that song and that introduction, and just those moments, and laughing with Theda, we're just always talking and sharing these things too. So learning, part of that too is that, again, finding that joy and that healing is learning about, where are those ancient footprints of your people? Where are they? Where do they walk? And it's an amazing feeling, and so I'll turn it back over to Theda so she can introduce herself and yeah.
Well, no, thank you. We always the song, just take it and put it in our heart. And I always think of you as Crazy Raven. I mean, so Oki,
Wait, hey Theda, I'm sorry. I just got
okay, go ahead.
I just looked on the text here, and yes, folks, you may not used to through the whole pandemic and stuff. You might have saw me with my whiskers on and everything, and so now, yes, had a few couple people in there say, "Oh, Gene, your face, gee whiz, yeah, you can see it." So had to
I
shave it.
know. I was like,
Shave.
I have to put on my. But gee, you're just in it. Like when we're looking out our eyes, we don't really see ourselves. But I'm just getting used to. I'll do an intro, and then we were going to talk about music, and we'll talk about hair because I think we should talk
Yeah,
about
yeah.
hair. Boy, so so part of my introduction, is my dad, who we lost to lung cancer 20 years ago, Monokini, Pete Leonard Iron Pipe Newbreast. He was born in 1937. And then my mother, Euskiptidaki, Yellow Flower Woman, she was born in 1938, and they lived on the creek, eh? Yeah, they lived on the same, but it's like this big badger flowing river, but they just called it the creek, Birch Creek. That's how Blackfeet say it. And so they were soulmates. And probably, when mom's still alive, I think when she dies, they'll still be soulmates. They won't be in their physical body, but they'll be over, and we call it the Sand Hills in Alberta. So I'm part of my introduction is I'm from the Siksikatepi, the Blackfoot Confederacy. And I'm on Scoppy Pikani. I'm on the United States side. But I wanted to, a part of my introduction is during this pandemic, I used to have 64 first cousins, and now I'm down to 61 first cousins. And that just happened. So, and I live with all of them. And what's cool is I know most of the hundreds of the second cousins and the third cousins. And then there's 18,000 of us enrolled and 20,000 descendants. But it's so weird, Gene. We're all, if you go back to a core, we're all related. But I was thinking of one relative, and I just wanted to speak about him before we talk about music and hair. His name was Tokan, and we didn't understand the interpretation of it. We just Tokan, but we called him Beaver. And he was my grandma Agnes Otstanikiwa's older brother. And when he was born, and Gene, we're always talking about the stories of shape-shifting. When he was born as a baby, one of his feet was webbed. And actually the toes were webbed, and it looked like a beaver's foot. So his Indian name was a Tokan, but they called him Beaver. And I grew up with him because he was our babysitter. And he was our babysitter. And this gives me joy to tell this in this introduction, this story. I just remember I was trying to, when you're in a little kid mind, you're like a little kid. I just thought Beaver was magic. So, and because I seen him do things that that I didn't see the other adults around me do. And he would just do things like I remember one time my mom was just, I think she was pregnant with Lori. Her butt, mom had all five of us before she was 22 years old, but she was really pregnant, and she had a sleigh, and we were on the sleigh, and we were going to get a Christmas tree. And we were scared because mom was like, she was so pregnant, looked like, she could, kind of like would fall down the mountain. So, but she's on this side hill. She's on the side hill, and she's got the saw, and she's sawing that tree. And, so it's me, Kathy, and Wanda. We're just on the sleigh. And I remember Tokan, she got the tree, and she's pregnant, and she's dragging it up. And, we were just all happy. That was just a joyful. And here's the Tokan, and we're coming back, and Beaver would always just have this real, like, that kind of like where they he was just really smiling. And here he had, I don't know, saved up. We didn't have much money, but he had gotten this bag of ribbon candy. that
Yeah.
big ribbon candy. And we hardly ever got, but he had ribbon candy, and we very rarely got like oranges. And then they had Brazilian nuts. They used to call it a different name. We don't call it that anymore, but he'd had Brazilian nuts, and he had these little bags for us. And I just remember how much joy at that moment, how much joy. And so I was thinking of him today because when my day started with Bitsy Watts is the morning star. We always are taught to get up and pray with the morning star. And I guess it's my self-care, because the days that I kind of miss, I go out and apologize, to the morning star, and I pray again, I reset. But this morning I was, how when you get up, Gene, I mean, today I didn't even have time to braid my hair. I've been in the woods and we've been on Zoom. And so I just got up and I was kind of like, and I looked out, and there was a beaver, and there's these 4 beavers. They're building a lodge, and it was just swimming by in the water, and it had this big old branch, but the branch still had leaves on it, and it was catching the reflection of the water, and it was catching, just as the sun was coming up. And that beaver, was just, like their heads, they look so determined. He just got there. He's just like swimming by. And I was like, I mean, it was just instant joy. And, those of you who know me, I love to take photos and just videos, and I go, and then I trying to say, is my phone, anyway, I got a good video, and I just walked out in the cold. It was only about 30 Fahrenheit, but I just was barefooted, and it felt so good to walk on the grass and some of the dry leaves. And I just walk slow I try not to interrupt any animals. And so he was swimming by. And so I that's part of I was thinking of a token. And we asked Daryl Kipp he started the immersion school here in 95, and they've graduated fluent speakers out of English speaking homes. But Daryl, he had a think tank that he used to do, or he didn't call it that, but it was like every August we would get together with all these elders and would have a theme. And I think that year we were talking about dogs, and you would have loved to be there, Gene. It was just about what the spiritual significance of dogs to us. And they talked for 3 days trying to interpret imida, and they finally came up on the 3rd day. Their closest translation of a dog was a spirit that travels around.
Mhm.
And so those elders, because I asked, and it was Margaret, and I think Martin Eaglechild, that was his wife. And I asked him, I said, what does my one of my uncles, his name was Beaver, but we called him a token. How would you translate that? Because we just couldn't get it. So, again, you have to give them time. So remember that there's joy in patience. There is such joy when you can patiently ask an elder something and patiently wait. It's not a TikTok ATM machine kind of, just ask the elder. But when I asked them, and they were discussing it, talking to the other elders, and, and they're eating berry soup and eating some bannock with hot butter. And so they finally, and then they motion, it's all sign language emotion. And then they said, the closest we could think and the closest we could come up is a toke refers to the fall, like it is now with the orange leaves. A token is that his name means, for some reason, and it might have to do with smallpox or some other, they didn't get to do their Okan, their Sundance, their medicine lodge in the summer. So they had one in the fall. And that's what his name meant, was the Atokan, that medicine lodge that they get to have in the fall. And so I need to say that in part of my introduction. So Gene, we started off, Gene and I, we can just get going. And that's part of self-care is like when you're with someone like this, you have to go with the synergy. We were talking about music. So why don't you say something about the joy of music, and then I'll come back. What do you think of Gene?
Uh, oh, yeah, I mean, all those things you're talking about, up in Alaska, the ravens, I was taught to go out there and watch them. But not only that, it's like, sometimes spirit talks to us in so many different ways. We as humans, we get used to communication happening with just words, but communication is happening in so many different ways, so many different levels. And when spirit, we were talking about the beaver, you're seeing the beaver and that patience in waiting, and the spirit that moves around, with that dog spirit. Um, what came to my mind was suddenly I saw a raven flying in the sky. And when you see those ravens soaring and they're flying in the sky, then all of a sudden they dip like this, upside down, and they're like upside down, and they'll fly some more. But when they do that they turn and they fly upside down. I was taught that from my teachers in Alaska that everything will be okay. And many times there have been times where when I was younger, I was needed money, or I needed work, or missing somebody, or someone passed on, or whatever. Some life happens, and I don't know how many times I've seen those ravens and just watch them. And to me, I'm going, all right, everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. And so that was those spirit talking to me, but it was up to me to pay attention, right? It's up to me to pay attention. Like you saw the beaver out there, and so and I'm always looking for those now. I've trained my system to look for those things, and when I see things like that of that significance, even a tree that sticks out, I love. What gives me joy in that healing is, like you said this morning, Theda, you went out and walked on the land. I love just walking out in the trees, walking on the land, and just listening and just being, clearing my mind, allowing myself to clear my mind. And a way that I do that is through music. The song that I sang, I'll actually just fill my mind with music. And our music is medicine. Our traditional music is medicine. So to learn at least one song, and if you don't know it, how many of you, I love watching children playing, and when they're playing, oftentimes they're humming, right? They're humming, or la la, la la la. In fact, I wrote a song called La La Blues, after watching a child out there humming away, la 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 la. But our music is medicine. And so when I'm walking, or if I get too much going on in my mind, or if I really need to listen actively or pay attention, I sing. And I fill my mind with that music. And so that it blocks out all the other distractions. And oftentimes I'll be driving down the road, I'll be tapping my finger, and my wife Ruby will be going, "So what are you singing?" I'll start singing the song. But not only that, but right here in front of me, I got this right here. And so just just playing that music, and to my other side, I got another one right here, and so I'm just surrounded by instruments. I got my flutes right here. So but the thing is with the music, and my drums right here, is what it does is it creates a vibration within you. Oftentimes when I go to a hotel room, you don't know who's been in that room before you. You don't know what happened in that room before you, at a hotel room. So I'll just take my drum and I'll just simply just slightly beat it. And what that does, it creates a vibration and cleansing because I'm putting that spirit and intention to it, you know, and sometimes I even put my phone on and I'll put the speaker on with music. But music, it's a vibration that just helps connect me, you know, and sometimes when I'm just pissed too, I'm mad, I'll put a certain song on, or I'll just like just sing away, you know. But it's that really helps me in my yeah, with music and you know, it helps me connect and and get back to that joy and healing. Because sometimes, you know, the joy and the healing isn't always just going home, you know, everything's life is good, you know. Sometimes that joy and that healing comes right after the storm, right? And it's okay to be in the storm. It's okay. And there's a teacher who told me, he says, you know, always after the storm, there's that calm, you know. And so yeah, so what are those songs, that music that you listen to that help you connect with your mind? And if you don't know a traditional song, uh, learn how to hum it. If you don't know the words, hum it. And that's that part of learning and bringing that into your healing and using the music. And so that's what Theda was talking about too, just that strength of the the music. You know, and then we talk about that joy, you know, and it looks like we lost Theta here for just a moment here. They got disconnected. And I tell people, holy, they don't want us Indians here healing and talking about all this spiritual stuff. So you know, you ever notice when you go out to the reservation, you know, that they, as soon as you cross the res, man, you can't get a phone connection. You know, it's like going, oh, they don't want all this Indians even talking to each other on the phone. Holy, gee whiz, because they know something's really going to happen. You know, and so I'm just reading here the chats you have here too. Yeah, music is medicine. You know, and oftentimes too is that movement. There have been times when I've just been down and you know and um, just I needed to do something. You know, again, life happens, and I'll play the music, but also I'll start moving. And I'll just dance, you know, in my living room. I'll do my funky dance, or sometimes I'll just get down and do my traditional dance, listening to music, and but movement. I need to move. You know, how many of us, when we even like to go out and work out or walk, we put our music on, right? You know, just to tune out. It helps us. But the music is connected with the movement as well too, because again, that the vibration of the music, it's moving the energy through you. And that's not that positive music, man. There's some music out there that's just kind of like just kind of twisted and stuff like that. But find that good music for yourself, you know, and finding that movement. And and when we talk about the music too, is like oftentimes music is is a prayer. Because in this, you know, times of joy, finding joy and healing, no matter what, sometimes it's just, you know, all we have is just the prayer. And for myself too, even in that prayerful moment, I sing. I sing. Even if I don't have a drum. Don't need a drum to sing. Right here. It's all right here. Just take that time to sing. Yeah. And so that's sometimes that music is the prayer as well. And so it's a yeah, so I was just going on about music, Nina, and, you know, and how music could be the prayer, and then associated with the music is also movement and dance. Sometimes I do that funky dance. Sometimes I'll do traditional dance, just in my living room or just in my kitchen, or even when I go walking. You know, and those things that it's all that vibration that helps me, and that. So you know, and that's the power of that our music. You know, and even just you know, standing next to the big drum, or you have all kinds of people with the drums, or you go to a rock concert, man. That's why I like playing guitar. I like, you know, it's all that vibration. So welcome back, Theda. We lost you for just a moment.
It's the energy of Jupiter and Hunter's moon. And but Gene, I love listening to you when you're talking about music, because I always music. My mom was telling me I was 3 months old when I was at my first oak on. Um, and I, talking about beaver to oak on. I don't remember being 3 months old, but she'd always say, even at 3 months old, beaver, would take you to that center pole, and it was songs, and so I think I grew up, and then Grandma Agnes, they had a blue thunder teepee. It was resolving a dispute thunder teepee, and I used to sleep below it, and it had like drums and a bundle. And so I always, I think I came into this world with Blackfeet songs. I came into this world with because what I do remember as a child is that drum would be there, and it like someone would come hit it, and there was no one. The on scene would come and hit that drum, and so there was always that drum, like our heartbeat, or like our mother's heart. I always and I witnessed that. The other thing, I guess, because I'm the music is that humming, because that always be making a song or humming a song. And I think beaver. So one of the the self-care, I was thinking about a good friend that she's gone named. Her name is Aline, Pretty on Top. She's Crow, and her grandchild. And then I got the privilege of raising her, Matumspi. But she used to sing this lullaby to her, and she was like one of those stick game players. And I'm not the singer, but I will try. But so when Amanda was sick, or Amanda was not feeling well, I would sing this lullaby, because her grandma said, yeah, I always used to sing Ikabula to her. So she to help her sleep, and she'd sing Ikabula, Ikabula, hey ha, Ikabula. And then she would sing that lullaby, and then she would take her fingers, and as she was singing Ikabola, and she would say, now I'm going to close your eyes. Now I'm going to close your eyes. Ikabula, Ikabula, hey ha, Ikabula. And she would go to sleep, instantly to sleep. That music would calm her, comfort her. She belonged. She was going to be okay. And that so I was thinking about I always heard, and I've only dreamt two songs, and they're comfort songs. And they say when you dream a song, Gene, you're much more, you just pick up the guitar and can start doing. But they say when you dream a song, and you will always remember it. And so attached to that Blue Thunder teepee, my dad used to sing this one song, and I dreamt it. I'm not, it's more, I'm just going to let it be, because every time you sing it, thunder and lightning comes. So I kind of want it to be a nice day. So I'm not gonna, but I remember when I dreamt that song, I was just going, oh, like, oh, and it gave me joy, but it's not, not my, I dreamt that song. And then the other song that gives me comfort is, there's this old man, and he's gone too. His name was Edward Little Dog, and his wife was named Muffet Little Dog. And Muffet got grandfathers, Yellow Shirt and White Thunder. These grandfathers, and they would when they first started talking to her, because other people couldn't hear them, she could hear them. She thought she was going crazy. stops, and but she, and it made her feel, she got uncertain because she could hear these grandfathers talking to her. And she finally, she thought at one point, she'd try to drink them away, and she'd try to do these things so she wasn't hearing them. And then she finally fasted and made friends with them, because sometimes when they would come into her and speak through her. And you could tell, because she had this real nice, grandma soft voice. But when they came in, they spoke in a man voice, a deep man voice. And sometimes she wouldn't remember what they said, but they would speak. And so that was her gift. And she was so helpful. While she was alive, she helped me personally just do deep healing self-care. When I first moved home to the reservation, I would sweat with them sometimes twice a week for that first 4 to 6 years, at least once a week. But her song was a calling song. And today I sang it twice, at the beginning of the day, and then I just went out right before we got on, Gene, because I like to just, when we're together, just speak about these things and just let it come from my intuition and my heart. So that calling song is always sung. Oh, now there's some loons out there. They're like, like when loons are going like this, they're like fishing and swimming. But when that, I always sing it, like when I smoke my personal pipes, or I sing it wherever I'm at. And then I, it's a calling song. And so the music to that, and then there's other music. And so self-care music is, I always have on my happy music. And it's weird, during the pandemic, it kind of changed, but it kind of stayed the same. And then I have my chill out music. And then I have, and I realized in my family, when we used to clean house, my mother would always play country and Western. So if I turn on a country and Western song, I start cleaning the house, start vacuuming, start washing things, it's just like, but then sometimes I need like calm, chill out music. And so I turn that on, and that's, soft rock and roll. And then some of my happy music has always been Soul Town, Motown, BB King. It has always been, Aretha Franklin, respect, and that, Al Green, love and happiness, just that. But lately, the music, I found this, and it's on Sirius. It's channel 73. It's all the top hits, gold hits of the 60s. And that has been my happy music. So I might listen to NPR news, but it's just been the happy music, and it reminds me of a time, and a current time. Like yesterday, I went for a ride in the mountains, and I just turned it up, and every song, I was thinking of Beaver again, because they always said the reason we never lost a battle, the reason we were strong warriors, is because we always took a stick that the beaver had chewed on, and it was always put in our war shirt, or it was put on us. And so while these beavers are being busy, I put out some tobacco, or where we can put something of our body, spit. And so I had this, and for some reason I was just driving through the mountains holding this little beaver stick. I was just like, rock it out. And then, like, there's no one on the road. I'm the only one. I'm looking for the bears, and and it was just like, then I had this beaver stick, and damn, I was just happy. That was my joy. And I don't know. So music is a healer. Music takes you somewhere else. And so I was thinking, one of the things, how my brain works is, those of us that have had COVID, the ones that couldn't taste and smell, like olfactory. And there's certain parts of our left hemisphere where because like even people who have Alzheimer's or lose their memory, they don't lose the song and music area. Like you can turn on a song and they'll sing the words. They may not remember their family's name, but they'll be comforted by the singing of those words. And so I always think, like, I got my scarf on, but in our brain, because like without this, none of this would work, right? Right. But you could say some people don't have a mind or they're mindless or whatever. But the music, if we could dig in there, like in the middle, is it 1 inch down? Is it 1 inch down? And that's where the music is gives us joy. Just think of that, Gene. Just like, and right 1 inch down in here, this could help us feel and heal.
Yep.
I mean, so I think we have to look at the many things. So maybe we were going to talk about hair. So anything I've said, I'm going to pass it back to you, Gene.
Well, one thing I wanted to say too is like, yes, everything I agree as far as music, and it brings us that joy and how it affects our neural system, and and again the vibration of it and how we take it in, and how it connects us to ourselves, but also that um, these musicians like these would talk about Miles Davis and these jazz musicians and such, that the music is in the silence as well.
Hmm.
The music is in the quiet,
Hmm.
and that's why they would always stress the pauses when you're playing music. To also to take those pauses,
Hmm.
those moments, because even in those pauses, those moments, and as you're talking about too, it's like um, I'll be driving in my vehicle, and then suddenly I just roll down the window, and I'll have music on, and I'll roll down the window. But as soon as I roll down the window, I'll slow down my truck, and I'll just turn the music down or off, because I want to hear the quiet. And it's those pauses that as well is music and joy and healing as well. When we talk about that, and
Hmm.
and so it's yeah. I mean, and as I've aged, when I was younger, I ride bikes, I run and ski and all those things. I used to have music in my pumping into my ears all the time, my head. But now, as I'm doing those things, um, I like how the pauses help the vibes to settle in. That was just a chat here. Somebody just chatted that. But now that I'm older, getting older, I don't have anything pumping into my ears. When I'm riding my bike, I'm just tuned into everything around me, and the wind. And so it's interesting as I've aged too, just how my system has, what I find joyful and healing now compared to when I was younger.
Hmm. Yes.
And so it's like, and it's so uh the simple things, and that stuff, you know. And so it's we're talking about hair. We're just kind of like moving into hair, and it's all this is connected. All this is connected to each other
Of
and
course.
stuff like that. And but um I was talking about earlier, Theda's like going, I need to get used to you without your my my whiskers and stuff. And my wife is saying the same thing. He said, oh, I need to get used to it, because when I'm growing it, it's a slow transition. But when suddenly you just shave it off, it's like boom, it's like that. And so is that that healing part of it too. Is like, Theda, you asked me the other day if it had anything to do, because I lost my father about 2.5 months ago now, and if it had anything to do with that. And part of me, I said consciously, nah, but unconsciously, I was probably saying yes, because I just kept telling Ruby that, I think I'm going to cut my facial hair off and whiskers and things like that. And then I was just recently on the East Coast, and I just kind of like trimming things up, and then I just slipped. And so this whisker was like way down here, and the other one was normal up here, and there was no way of fixing it. And so I was like going, okay, it's coming off. It's coming off. So I shaved it off. But part of me too is like that unconscious part of that, almost that ceremonial shaving, the ceremonial cutting of your hair. Because when I told my mom I cut my whiskers off, and then she said, my mom immediately said, don't cut your hair. Don't cut your hair, you know. And so we're talking about that that's almost that ceremonial grieving of releasing, I guess, you know, and of that, you know, losing my dad. And so I didn't cut my hair, but I did shave and cut all that off, you know. And so it's like almost a start over, new moving on, you know. And after we've done taking care of all that, but also that spiritual healing, like music is that spiritual healing, you know. And what did I need to do for myself to heal and continue to heal? I'm still processing this whole thing, Theda, you know, and still processing it, you know. And I know it will come to me maybe it'll come to me in a dream. You were talking about we remember those things in our dreams. When stories come to me in my dreams, I got it. I mean, I can go back to when I was a child and still remember those stories that came to me in my dreams, you know. And you know, even now I tell some of those stories, and I don't even have to. Well, there is no paper to look back to, or a book to look back to see if it's accurate or not. There is none. It's there. It's in my dream. So even in my dreams, this process of joy, healing, grieving, forgiveness, of anger, all this stuff, you know, is coming into my dreams, and I'm paying more attention to it. The music itself, because music comes to me in my dreams as well, and also some things. Sometimes when we teach online or teaching with people, working with people, it's like sometimes I say things. I go, where the heck did that come from? I hope somebody recorded it, because I don't know what I just said, but it was good. Everyone else liked it, you know.
Yeah.
And so, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you know that gosh, when you were talking, you know, I asked you that question because, you know, hair and the evolution of our lifetime, you know, the color of our hair, the texture of our hair, if it's thick, if it's, and in our teachings, you know, they would always say when you lose someone, you should at least cut off 6 inches. You know, they'd say cut it off because and then when that 6 inches grows back, that means you're at a better place with your grief. And so it's just like, I think of my friend Rosemary Kaye, they put leather straps around their ankles and and around their wrists, and they wear them until they wear off. And when they fall off, that means their grief is at a stage where and so it's mindful, so that's on their ankles and they're looking at it all the time. Because like as soon as when I seen her, when we could get together in the pandemic, you know, the grief, I saw that. But they'll say like that 6 inches, you know, to cut it. And then hair is you know, and this is one of those things, you know, I guess thinking about Beaver and my grandma, I must have watched her because I've saved all my hair all my life. and they say it's going to be a nest. You make a nest, and it's in there. I got this big bag of hair, you know, because we never we never throw it away. Like, you know, when you go get your hair cut, you don't, because it's your ancestors.
Yeah.
Your hair is your ancestors, so you don't throw your ancestors in the trash, you know, at some salon. I mean, you know, go get it. So and so there's that nest, and they say there'll be a time, and I know this, I know that it'll I'm making a nest for when our mother just decides to go, and make a pillow so that their body, this physical body, can rest on that nest. And so I've been thinking, this I was I know that now. I didn't know that, and I was just always saving hair, and even the households of people that have been with me, I saved their hair in it too. And I smudge it, and it's just like the hair, so that they're taken care of, that they have blessings, that there's automatic forgiveness. The love is higher than anything. And but I was thinking about something funnier, so I'll just it has to do with hair and elders and how goofy they are. One time, and I won't name names, but I went up to Alberta, and I used to get really nervous because they would have me come up and do talks, and they were my elders, and I was still in my 30s, and so I didn't feel qualified, so I'd always apologize, but they wanted me to come up to talk about historical trauma kind of stuff. Anyway, it was all women, and they were like, longtime wisdom keepers, and really high up there, bundle holders, and just wisdom keepers. And then there's this one old man, and another wisdom keeper, just highly respected. And so I was just talking to him, and I get people engaged, and this is something that they don't talk about. So I looked at and the old man left. So you can have different humor when it's just women. So here we are on the Power Hour, giving away secrets. So I, out of the blue, I just asked the grandmas, I go, "Hey, full bloods we got in the room," because that's the lower 48 thing. And they're just like looking around, and they go, "I'm a full blood. Well, I'm a full blood." And they were, but. And so I said, okay, so if you're if you're a full blood, then you only have 3 pubic hairs, right? And then one of the old ladies, she goes, "I have 4." She was like, "I have 4 pubic hairs," So what it did was, because we were talking about some harsh subjects of the heart, is we just laughed, and but that was about hair, because they would always say they were like Indian men because they have no hair on their body, or they like that brown skin with no hair on it. That's a hair thing, but it was just, I just like, they were just with it, those old ladies. And then we just laughed and laughed, and then the spiritual man came back in, and everyone got quiet. And, like we all just sat up, we got quiet.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's some of my thoughts. So what do you think?
But it reminds me about that we were just at a training last was it last week in Suquamish? Seems like
Yeah,
it's been so long ago. Anyways, just sitting outside, and then inside, I think Levina and all these other ladies were just laughing, just this belly laugh, deep belly laugh, and laughing. And I looked around, and we weren't part of the group, but everybody outside, we all just started laughing too, because that laughter could just become contagious.
yeah.
Even I don't know how many times at places that I've been, even when you might be at a funeral service or memorial service, and then we just start laughing, and just everyone just starts laughing. Don't even know what we're laughing at, but it's contagious, And again, it's a vibration, it's an energy that brings out there, and it's a need. We need to laugh during these times, and finding that joy and that healing, because it is very healing. And when we that laughter, and just like you were talking about those aunties and grandmas, when talking about really heavy, heartfelt things, um, that that again, that laughter of
Yeah.
how can we go there and find that, and and be that in the midst of all whatever we're in. Like, and again, sometimes it's just life happens, man. Life
Yeah.
happens, how can we find that joy? And when I think about that too, how do we find that joy and that healing? It's like, what is it that we really value in our lives? What do we
Mhm.
value? I mean, you may not even know what you really value right now, but what is it that brings you that value? It's like, where we started this conversation was, walking outside, seeing the beaver, talking about the beaver and that medicine, and I love to go outside and um, see the birds. We have hummingbirds that live in our backyard, and all the little birds, and Ruby's back there talking to the birds all the time. The hummingbirds. Okay, I'm going to clean out the feeder, and I'll be right back. I'm only going to be gone a long time, and that's where we find that joy, and and that healing as well. Just being out there, outside, and breathing the air, and um, yeah, just so those of you who are watching or with us too, I thank you really for being here and joining in, um, yeah. And how do you find that joy and that healing, no matter what?
Mhm.
No matter what, you know, e- even
Right.
if you have mismatched socks, man, and you're one of those OCD people, and you got to have the right socks, and then you have to wear mismatched socks all day, find the joy and the healing of that, no matter what, and what is it that that is it for you,
Yeah.
and find out what it is for other people, because maybe you could steal it,
Mhm.
maybe you could use it, you know,
Gee, you were just saying that because and taking that joy, and maybe we need to make it into a t-shirt because it said Indian women laughing is therapy.
yeah,
Like what you were saying, Lavina, because Lavina is contagious, or
oh
you
yeah,
think about your contagious friends that are laughing, and that is therapy. And even up our, like they say, up our spinal cord, the laughing and crying responses, it just branches at the very end. That's why we laugh hysterically at tragedy, and we cry at happy things. And so think about that, where in your life, for your self-care, that you're just, that's why we like all these comedies. That's why we like Reservation Dogs. That's why we like Casey Nicholson. That's why we like Auntie Beatrice. That's why we like Charlie Hill, all of the comedians. Think about the things of self-care that you need around, because your friends you can laugh with and just be goofy with, and you're not judging each other. You're not
yeah,
competing with each other. It's just like a sisterhood, brotherhood kind of thing. Like you're laughing at your own behavior. And that, I guess, and some of we could start to wind down in our closing. Sometimes when we can laugh at ourselves, and I was right before we came on, and this is, I'll kind of wind down with this story, is when I used to drink, I had a really cool boyfriend, and he was like a Vietnam vet, and I won't name names, but we lived together, and he would go off to work, and I was a good partner, so I would always make his lunch the night before, and then it would be all ready, and so he could get ready and grab his lunch and go out and go off to work. But that night I was drinking. This is where I have to laugh at myself, because I made his sandwich, and it must have looked good because I took a bite out of it. And here it was. I made this sandwich, I took a bite out of it, wrapped it all up. And so when he went to work, he unwraps his sandwich and there's a bite on it. and but he was laughingly trying to tell me that he thought I should quit drinking.
ah,
But it was in that humor that we started to have the dialogue. And I eventually, a few years down the road, did quit drinking, but he loved me, and he was a good boyfriend. He was a teaching boyfriend. And
ah,
so, but that was us laughing about how the way I made his sandwich, and just saying that that's not the real me. That's not the real you, making, just going through the motions. And so we go through the motions when we're social drinkers. or whatever. But I think the best is to laugh at ourselves and some of our how we used to be. And in 2023, I'm not that person no more.
Yeah.
You have self-forgiveness.
It's 14 hours.
For self-forgiveness. And so maybe our Wellness and Wednesday, are those listening, think about your self-care goals for 2023. And and being patient and building them. So anyway, I guess I can laugh at myself, and I did some pretty stupid things. I try not to do them anymore. I still do some stupid things, but anyway, Gene, what's your closing comments?
Yeah, I still do stupid things too. Just ask Ruby, man. And she'll tell you all about it. But that's it. I mean, what brings us joy? What brings us healing? And take an inventory of that. Going in, as we go, because 2023, I'm going to be a different person. I'm definitely not the same person I was when I was in my 40s, 30s. Definitely not in my 20s. And as I move forward, yeah, I laugh at myself all the time, and I use those examples of when I was foolish and did stupid stuff. Those are those teachings, those lessons. That's that coyote teaching, that's that raven, those trickster teachings.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's what we're using. So yeah, so take that inventory. What are those healing ways, modalities that you are using now, and jot some down. What other people are using. How do they do things? How to do things. How does Auntie Theda do things? How would she do it? Or maybe if you want to ask, how's that crazy raven? How would the crazy raven do it? I mean,
Yeah.
I say that with my elders. So with that, with the Native Wellness Institute, this is Wellness Wednesdays, our power hour. Thank you for tuning in. And take care of yourself, take care of your spirit out there, be well, be healthy, and if you need to cry, go ahead and cry a little bit, and just go out there and have a little chuckle, have a little laugh, treat yourself well, be gentle with yourself. Until next time, we'll be back next Wednesday. So thank you. Blessings.
Awesome. Love you, Gene.
Love you. See you in a bit.